If you're a focused learner who values efficiency, you are absolutely in the right place. Because today, we're unpacking a fascinating and frankly kind of unsettling new body of research. We've all been there, right? You're lying in the pitch black of your bedroom. The house is completely quiet. But inside, your mind is running through this incredibly vivid, terrifying scenario. You finally jolt awake. It was just a dream. You tell yourself you're perfectly safe. But what if the danger isn't entirely in your head? So can a bad dream actually kill you? I know, it sounds like the plot of a late-night horror movie. But think about that intensely physical sensation of waking up from a night terror. You know the feeling. You're completely drenched in a cold sweat. Your chest is heaving as you gasp for air. And your heart, it's hammering against your ribs like a drum. That is a very real, very intense physical reaction to a completely imagined event. And as we're about to see from some groundbreaking data, those physical reactions leave a lasting mark on our bodies. All right, let's get into Section 1, the study keeping us awake, revealing the hidden risks of bad dreams. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the sheer massive contrast it shows. At the June 2025 European Academy of Neurology Congress, the scientific community got a major wake-up call. I mean, we've all had it drilled into our heads forever that things like smoking, obesity, poor diet, and not getting enough exercise are the big drivers of an early grave, right? But this new data revealed something absolutely astonishing. Experiencing weekly nightmares actually outpaced all of those well-known threats as predictors of premature death. Literally, just let that sink in for a second. A bad dream is statistically a heavier predictor of mortality than a poor diet. To really wrap our heads around how they arrived at this startling conclusion, we have to look at the massive scale of this study. It was spearheaded by the UK Dementia Research Institute and Imperial College London. And they didn't just look at a handful of people in a sleep clinic. No, they tracked over 183,000 adults. That kind of massive sample size gives these findings an immense, undeniable statistical weight. And actually, they didn't even stop with adults. The researchers also tracked 2,400 children. Now, looking at kids is absolutely crucial here because it allows scientists to observe the effects of night terrors on the human body right from the early stages of development. It builds this comprehensive lifespan view of exactly how our sleep impacts our health over time. The dedication to this research is just astounding. These hundreds of thousands of individuals were monitored for up to 19 years. For nearly 2 decades, researchers meticulously tracked both the frequency of their nightmares and their biological aging, using these highly advanced metrics like epigenetic clocks. And after 19 years of tracking, this was the deeply alarming statistical reality they uncovered. Adults who suffered from weekly nightmares were more than 3 times as likely to die before the age of 70 compared to those who slept peacefully. Let me repeat that, over 3 times more likely. Even having nightmares just once a month still significantly raised the risk. The researchers actually described it perfectly. It's a nightmare on top of nightmares. Let's move on to Section 2, Aging from the Inside Out, the cellular toll of night terrors. So how exactly does a dream physically cause this? Well, it all comes down to telomeres. You can think of telomeres as the biological bookmarks of aging. They're basically these protective caps at the very end of your DNA strands. And researchers found a pretty heartbreaking reality. Children who were plagued by frequent nightmares actually had shorter telomeres than kids who didn't have them. This is a big deal, especially because nightmares are super common in children, typically peaking between the ages of 3 and 6, according to Harvard Medical School. If you're a parent watching this explainer, I want you to know your anxieties about your child's bad dreams are completely validated by the science here. Deirdre Barrett from Harvard Medical School points out that this high frequency in kids might actually be evolutionary. She notes that, while children are smaller and inherently more vulnerable to physical threats in the real world, their nightmares are likely just a reflection of that deep-seated evolutionary vulnerability playing out in their developing minds. But when you look at the broader mortality picture, this is where it gets crazy. A massive 40% of the increased mortality risk discovered in the study came directly from cells aging faster than they should. Nearly half of the danger of bad dreams isn't just about feeling tired the next day. It is literally your very cells deteriorating at an accelerated rate. Section 3, the biology of bad dreams. Why your body believes the terror. And this brilliantly illustrates a core question. Why does your physical body believe a completely mental projection? Imperial College London neuroscientist Dr. Abidemi Otaiku sums it up with a profound biological truth. our sleeping brains literally cannot distinguish dreams from reality. So when you're being chased by a monster in your dream, your brain is firing off the exact same alarm signals to your body as it would if a real monster actually broke into your bedroom. And the primary alarm signal it sends? Cortisol. Cortisol is the body's main stress hormone, instantly triggered under fight or flight circumstances. Dr. Otaiku noted that nightmares lead to prolonged elevations of this hormone. So your body is just flooded with stress chemicals while you are lying perfectly still in bed. And that chronic elevation of cortisol happening night after night chemically accelerates that cellular aging we just talked about. On top of that huge late-night cortisol spike, the sheer panic of a nightmare just shatters your sleep quality. Dr. Otaiku points out that this kind of interruption denies the body its essential overnight cellular restoration and repair time. Without solid, uninterrupted rest, your cells literally cannot fix themselves. That unrepaired wear and tear just adds up over time, ticking your biological clock forward way faster than normal. And what makes this whole thing so insidious is that it traps you in what a 2025 study in the Journal of Sleep Research actually calls a vicious cycle. Restless sleep tends to trigger nightmares. Those nightmares then cause poor sleep and health problems, and those health problems in turn feed right back into more restless sleep and more nightmares. You're essentially locked in a biological loop. Okay, let's dive into this next part. Section 4, a silver lining for sleepers, taking back the night. I know we've covered some incredibly heavy, genuinely terrifying information so far, but researchers were very clear that this discovery is actually incredibly hopeful. Why? Because nightmares can be prevented and treated. If you are someone who suffers from nightmares, this scary cycle of cellular aging isn't some permanent life sentence. It is a completely reversible condition, and taking steps to fix it could literally earn you extra years of life. Dr. Otaiku provided a really practical checklist of simple measures you can take to start protecting your sleep immediately. We're talking about things as straightforward as avoiding scary movies before bed, maintaining a strict sleep hygiene routine, actively managing your daytime stress, and seeking professional treatment for any underlying anxiety or depression. These are all proven, highly effective tools to shut down those nighttime cortisol spikes. So the crucial point is how this completely shifts our view of public health. While policymakers are constantly out there trying to find ways to nudge people toward healthier eating or getting more exercise, treating nightmares is suddenly looking like the ultimate low-hanging fruit. If further studies confirm these causal impacts, simply addressing bad dreams could become one of the simplest, most cost-effective strategies out there to literally slow down aging for the entire population. You know, in the past, you might have easily dismissed a bad dream as just a random, meaningless misfire of the mind, just a glitch. But the science now tells us they might actually be vital warning lights flashing on your body's dashboard. So as you turn off the lights tonight, you really have to ask yourself, what are your nightmares trying to tell you? And are you finally ready to listen? Wishing you all sweet and healthy dreams.